Welcome. Welcome to AI Ascend, empowering C-level executives to harness artificial intelligence. So we are Serving Intel, a leading provider of dining and technology solutions for senior living. I am Angela Landry, the strategic marketing manager here. I'm joined by two of my really great friends and fellow peers. Jim, why don't you start and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Jim Livingston, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Sales here at Serving Intel. We love the opportunity to serve others. And in this seminar or webinar today, I hope you get to learn a lot about ChatGPT. I use it almost on a daily basis in some way, shape, or form, both personally and professionally. And I'll introduce you to my colleague, Lance.
Hey, greetings, everybody. I lead the technology side of our organization as CIO, and I've personally undertaken our initiatives in artificial intelligence and in business intelligence. And it's been a really wild ride over the last 90 days. A lot of great things are coming up forward, and we look forward to talking about those things today.
All right. Thanks, guys. So, like I mentioned, today we're going to dive deep into AI for the C suite and help you supercharge your organization with this amazing technology. So, you'll leave today with a deeper understanding of AI and its impact on the whole organization. Our agenda for today is to identify key opportunities and challenges, developing an AI-driven corporate culture, and then we'll have a fun Q&A session, hopefully if we can get some questions from our audience. So guys, let's kick it off with our first question of the day. Jim, what are some key opportunities for AI implementation in your industry? So in senior living.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of them. I'll just go ahead and throw out one, for example, and that's anything that has to do with repetitive tasks. So everything from maybe helping with emails, maybe replying to other people's emails that come in. We get a lot of, as the SVP, I get a lot of emails regarding, I want to sell you this, I want to sell you that. And there's some things I'm looking for and interested in, and some things that I'm not. And so if the ability to set up, for example, the system where it allows you to say, hey, listen, I'm looking for, in our case, a point of sale system. I'm looking for a CRM system, and something comes through from somebody like that, I can be notified. But everything else, it sends them a nice courtesy message saying, thank you for reaching out, but I'm no longer interested. So as just one example, that's a repetitive task opportunity that ChatGPT can actually help with. And I utilize that tool in my current daily life.
Understood. I think I do that as well. I also use it to help generate topics or ideas for content creation on the marketing side. So it's really transformed how I work daily. It's constantly up on my screen, and anytime I get stuck with can't think of something, I'll type in "give me an idea" or a topic related to um, this topic, and then it'll generate that for me and kind of take the guesswork out of it for me. Another question. So, Lance, how can Serving Intel or how can your organization identify the most appropriate AI solutions to support your own business goals?
Well, I think the first of all, there needs to be a general understanding of artificial intelligence. And so for us, we've been exploring this for the last 12 years as a company. And up until January of this year, every time we explored a solution, we were left very disappointed. And so OpenAI gets the credit for kicking this off. Microsoft gets the credit for investing $10 million into them. And then the release of 3.5 and now 4.0 has really opened the floodgates. There are a lot of solutions that are out there available now. So the recommendations from an integration standpoint is one, get a basic understanding of what it is and what's available. And that's done easily through YouTube, videos. There's a ton of great content that's out there. And so starting to absorb the content is a big deal. Just this morning, I listened to a TED talk through YouTube on the changes that are happening in education right now. And it's absolutely spectacular the way that the solution, we just know it as the thing, Chat GPT, how it's being used to serve very specific audiences. In this case, it was both students and teachers. So from our standpoint, as we look at it, we have a similar deal as our organization. We have to serve those who buy stuff from us often referred to as end users. This is the organizations that we serve. But just as important, and probably arguably from our customer standpoint, a little more important, is their customers. And so, whether it's senior living and we're serving restaurant or residents and employees, whether it's restaurants and we're serving customers or loyalty members, you've got opportunities to hit both of those specific items. On integration, now it's important to understand that AI is not a thing. Artificial intelligence is a system, and there are a bunch of things that are out there and available. And so, from our perspective, we have selected a platform, and that's part of the. If your organization is in software development and you plan on building or offering this internally or not, you have to choose a platform. And there are service providers out there that you can engage that can build a platform for you. There's 4 open source platforms that are available that you can engage without paying a third party money to set this up for you if you have the bandwidth. And then within those platforms, there's a myriad of interfaces, APIs, that allow you to connect to a myriad of things. And so, for example, if a senior living resident or a restaurant customer is using our AI, we route that traffic based on the intent. And the intent, that's a word within AI. An intent is a question. It's an end user asking for something, for information. And when the intent comes into our platform, we have to read the tokens, read the words, and make a determination whether we have the answer to that, what's available for lunch today, or who discovered the West Indies, which isn't a part of our business world. And we could take any of that information and route it over to OpenAI. Comes that information comes back, what's called a response or an utterance comes back through us, and we deliver that to the customer. And then the final piece of this is the secret sauce in setting any large learning model up is actual conversations. The live conversations train the system. And so the ability to read through conversations, determine what is a happy story or a successful conversation as opposed to one that's not. This is a part of the ongoing maintenance of the large learning module. So on an integration standpoint, this is the lay of the land. These are some of the things that you really need to be aware of. And from there, there's a number of other things regarding processes in human resources, cybersecurity, product development. So there's a number of other ways to look at this from an enterprise standpoint. Jim, you want to chime in on question number 2 here?
Yeah, well, I was actually going to. I still had some things to say about question number one regarding some of the opportunities that are out there and all the
Me,
different
hey,
things that we
me
can.
too. Me too. Let's bounce back.
Yeah, sure. I, that would just give you one little simple example, but obviously, from our standpoint, there's times in my day that I'm asking a question or I'm doing a competitive analysis. I'm trying to figure out what are my competitors doing, or what's the best way to do this, or what's the best way to do that. And instead of sitting there and looking through Google and figuring it all out, I just literally go to Chat GPT and type in what I'm looking for. And amazingly, they spit out a lot of information that gets me thinking and helps me kind of guide me to my next step, if you will. And it makes me so much more efficient and productive throughout the day. And I find myself, and I still do it. I go, hey, my computer's broken or something's wrong. Let me call the IT guy. And the reality is, if I just typed in, in the Chat GPT, hey, here's the problem I'm having. How do I fix it? And it tells you. And if you just actually do what it says, you fix your own problem in about 10 or 20 seconds, right? So that's another one that's a big deal for me personally. What about you?
Enhancing customer service is another cool aspect of this. Most folks have, whether it's internal or external or both, most folks have a service organization that's providing something, IT support. Um, Service is something we all provide. And there's some powerful ways. One is there's a tie in with voice over IP. And so there's a service out there. And again, there's open source and there's solutions like Microsoft. And it's referred to as text to speech and speech to text. It really provides a really cool human element to this. And so we're in the process of tying in our phone system into AI. So every time one of our customers calls up and has an engagement with one of our customer service reps, that entire conversation is transferred to text or translated to text, and that goes into the large learning module to provide open knowledge transfer to anybody, both internally and back out externally. This is how the chatbots have come a real long way, is the input of voice into the database structure. So enhancing customer service significantly is a pretty easy way to engage AI in any organization. Jim, what you were talking about, I kind of referred to as advanced data analysis and insights. We are, as a software manufacturer, we are a Microsoft shop. And I like to say 15 years ago, when I would say that out loud, I'd have a bad reflux in my throat. But today, we're real proud to be a Microsoft shop. And we're in the process right now of moving our operating system, our company's operating system, from one CRM to the Microsoft ERP, which is Dynamics 365. And so within Dynamics, you have the capability of turning on artificial intelligence, and specifically it's sales insights. And so the ability for our sales team to bring in LinkedIn information, to have deeper, richer relationships and understand networks, the ability from our customer, the way that it works is pretty amazing. It looks at interactions, it looks at email. Yeah, have the emails from this prospect been favorable, not favorable? And it actually helps generate a percentage close probability based on the full ecosystem of things that are happening around sales. And that's all by flipping on a license within Microsoft. So our organization, we're really in as far as engaging Microsoft and making sure we're taking advantage of AI across the board as much as possible. Azure, the Microsoft platform, makes cybersecurity pretty seamless because it's built into this. And so there's a part of Azure called managed instances, which really allow you to take cybersecurity to a whole nother level. And Microsoft and a few other security firms are using AI for things like intrusion detection. And so using, instead of a human being trying to read logs, which we all know never happens, to have AI watching IP hits, network traffic, and have an AI read the logs enables us as human beings to do other more productive things. And again, it increases cybersecurity through the roof. And then finally, another thing from an enterprise standpoint that I would recommend you're using AI for is innovation. I was one of the videos I consumed had to do with a company in France, and they have over 200 engineers, and all they do is dream about the future. I think that's kind of a cool job if you're a creative type. And that organization is using OpenAI now to put in analyze this company's website and tell me what they're going to be doing 3 years from now or 5 years from now. And you can take the text AI and you can combine it with visual AI, and you can get some pretty stunning product development information coming out of this. So it's a way to innovate using the technology empowered by people, and the net gain on this is it increases the creativity level of the humans that are using the system. It's kind of a cool thing about this. If you write a poem or a sonnet or a chapter in a book, it's your prompts, it's what you put into the system, and then what you get out of it, you have ownership of that. It's like everybody's a car and somebody stops by your garage and slaps a supercharger and a turbocharger on you. Your capabilities for doing more and greater things just go through the roof.
Yeah, and I've also seen that from as a tech company, it's really important to innovate, and you're always looking to find the newest chip, the newest battery, the newest whatever's out there. And you typically have teams of people that's their job. They go out and look for and research and try to figure out where can I get it, does it even exist, etc. When you use ChatGPT and you start throwing it out there, it starts to tell you things that you had no idea were out there, and then it allows your a lesser a number of people to go after it and figure it out. So I think it's real. You can get right down to the nitty gritty of of literally just materials and talking about product features. Does it exist? When we sit around and we have customers that say, "Hey, can you do this feature? Can you do that feature?" We always go, "Well, we think so," and then maybe it's already out there. Maybe the technology already exists. Are you behind? Are you ahead in the market? Those are the things that you kind of realize really quickly when you start using the tool.
That's awesome. So let's now bounce back to the second question, which is the integration. So if you've bought into the why, and I still talk to a lot of executives who have not yet just gone and signed up for a free account, haven't put their toe in the water yet. This is happening very fast. There are many videos out there about the jobs that will be replaced by AI. And are there jobs that will be replaced? Absolutely. It's guaranteed. And few things in life are guaranteed. And so, in a previous video, we talked about what jobs will be eliminated. So, we're not going to dive into this. We're going to take the leap that you watching this video, if you haven't bought in, you're ready to buy in. You're ready to do this. And this is the integration standpoint of this. And so, identifying the right solutions. We've invested a lot of time and a lot of money into what we've built today. And we're not going to be spilling secret sauce out through a public format, but if you have an interest in engaging us, we'll have a dialogue with you and we'll share one on one the things that we've done, the lessons that we've learned to help bring you along. So we're going to give you a very generalized sense of what's out there. So I've already mentioned on the first point, there are things out there that you could pay people to do this and they'll set it up for you. There are service providers like us who can integrate it into your solution set. But this all starts with business goals. Your leadership team needs to have a dreaming session and make the decisions like, if empowered by AI, what could our organization do? And so, to keep this internal, what did our organization do? We wanted to use it through all of our software engineering teams to enhance their productivity. And so what we did is we started sharing videos. We had a contest and the winners got t-shirts. And it was taking a video of you using AI to solve a business problem or help a customer. And we had dozens of videos that got submit, and it was a really fun activity. And again, this is about creativity, watching different people use the solution to different effect. And this wasn't just software development. This was HR, this was accounting, this was sales, this was operations. It's the entire organization. I can't think of a single position that can't benefit. We have bookkeepers that are solving Microsoft Excel spreadsheet issues, not just solving issues, but building better spreadsheets using OpenAI. So there's not a single person in your organization that couldn't benefit for this if they have any interactions with technology whatsoever. And then once you've defined your goals, making that investment, going all in. The way our team made the investment, went all in, is we purchased the hardware, we purchased the services, we built out our own platform, and today we just launched our own artificial intelligence team. So we have a group of engineers that are completely dedicated to building out this solution on different business cases. And we have a number of those. If we've got time, we can go through those business cases either towards the end or we might catch them in the next webinar. And then overcoming common implementation challenges. Again, let me circle back. There's a ton of YouTube content out there. If you pick a platform and you decide to do it your own, you go open source, make sure that there's content out there that supports what your effort's going to be. A lot of these organizations, there's four primary open source organizations. They all have a pretty substantial set of quality content. You just want to make sure if you're going to be consuming videos to learn about what you just implemented, that you're able to receive that. Jim,
Hey,
any
Lance,
closing?
I don't know. Sorry to interrupt you, but did you? I don't know if you saw yesterday, but the CEO of IBM was on Fox Business, and he literally said that in the next, and he said very short, I think within the year, there'll be 80,000 jobs that are going to be taken away because of Chat GPT. And at the end of the day, he said though, and he was smiling while he was saying it. I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's not a really good way to tell everybody that they're going to lose their job. And then he said, what we have to do is re-engineer these folks literally to understanding how to use the tool and to be to do different roles. But he said the 80,000 will actually triple, and that's how many people will be hired on the other end.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting coming straight from the CEO of IBM.
Part of this is if you step back and you look at technology in whole, um, all technologies are increasing at an exponential rate. And this is the successes, the knowledge, the growth of it. And one of those is the medical field. Today you don't hear a lot about it on the news. You tend to hear about the blood and the gore, not the great things that are happening. But more and more cancers are being resolved, or people are being healed, full and complete remission. The ability to control heart disease, just the whole myriad of things that kill the average human being are being addressed and being solved. And the longevity of our species, it's good. There was one woman that hit 120 before she passed away. I think she's in Guinness. That was just
Wow.
recent. That was a few years ago. There's a belief that the person in school today, the teenager today, will live to be 150 years of age, and there'll be no going to work for the company until until retirement. You're not going to spend 80 years at a company. And so our new paradigm that we're experiencing, the first wave of it is right now. There'll be a major shift. Simple jobs will be eliminated by technology, and the people will need to rise up to do the next thing. We've seen this in the automotive field for the last 4 or 5 decades. When robots went in, it started like in the 1980s, simple robots. And today you look at a Tesla factory, building a Tesla start to finish in 2 hours or less than 2 hours. It's giant robots doing all the work. What do you see regarding human beings in a Tesla factory? They got clipboards, they're going robot to robot, they're servicing the robots. And so human beings are still always going to be impacted. We're created for work. That's our purpose. The work's going to change. And technology is going to enable us to do cooler things and have more fun in life.
Agreed. I think the important part of that, though, is to find the company that supports your use of AI. Lance, you've done a great job at Serving Intel facilitating our use of AI. You've trained us all, you taught us, and you support us using it to be more efficient and effective every day. So, how can organizations create a culture that supports the successful adoption of AI technology?
Yeah. I've kind of, if anything, jumped ahead maybe a touch in hitting these things. Leadership has to get it. If leadership doesn't get it, leadership will probably be replaced. Just to be blunt, this is real. It's here and it's now. And so the steps to get it, I shared. I probably consumed 50 to maybe 75 hours worth of YouTube videos every morning. Not to get too personal, every morning when I jump into the shower, I got my phone, I got a Bluetooth speaker. I'm listening to a video while I'm doing the shower. So anytime I have the time and ability to consume a video in the evenings with a glass of red wine, I'm listening, I'm hearing what's going on, and the ideas are just mind blowing. So leadership adopting and driving this out is a big deal. And then yeah, you've got a whole bunch. We had it on our team, a whole bunch of employees that were like, where's HR on this? Where's our handbook policy on this? We as a group, I don't consider this a giant leap, but we as a group offered to pay the $20 a month to get the advanced, or it's called Plus, the Plus version of Chat GPT. There's also other solutions, as I mentioned. There's another one called Black Box. There's solutions out there, Codex. There's ones that are very specific AI solutions for things like programming language. And so we offered for anybody that wanted to go beyond free to pay for a license that would allow them to do more in their specific field of area. Of course, we've been procuring Microsoft licenses. And as you know, the AI, there's a charge to turn on AI for the sales module of Dynamics 365. We got the latest advanced licenses. It's called LSI LinkedIn sites. I think it's something. You got Sales Navigator, and then you got the more expensive version. And so we elevated our LinkedIn licenses to the top so that they tie into the AI that's embedded into Microsoft Dynamics. And so the investment from our perspective has been green light. We'll provide whatever you need. And this stuff, we're not talking about major dollars. $20 here, $30 there, $50 there. The productivity that you get out, you're really looking, if you get a 50% boost in productivity with a team member, that's on the low side of the scale. We're seeing team members that are in triple digits in productivity, both in, say, software programming and the quantity of code they're putting out and the quality of code, because the systems help you fix bugs as well. So it's radically changed software engineers' position.
Yeah, and I think from the leadership perspective, I mean, you said it well. That's what I was going to say. Is also, like everything else, it has to come from the top. It has to be encouraged. Everybody has to understand the value behind it, and that, of course, is set from the top at the leadership level. But then there has to be over time. It's the education and training that goes into it, and explaining to people how to use the tool. Again, the good news is it's easy to use. They need to have an open mind, of course, of communication. And I can tell you, when we first started, there were some closed-minded people that kind of looked at it and said, "Man, I don't want to. I ain't got time for this. I don't have time for this." And then they see other people actually succeeding at it and being more efficient and productive than they are, and they're like, "Wait a second, maybe I need to buy in." And all of a sudden, they buy in. They taste it a little bit, and they realize it actually does work. And then once, of course, all that happens, then you get that collaborative mindset working with the group, and everybody kind of comes together. So I think leadership starts it. There has to be some level of investment, and then the whole collaborative, everybody being collaborative, open minded, obviously getting all the employees involved from the very beginning. That'll determine the success of the tool overall and your organization.
To that point, I mentioned YouTube videos probably too many times, and I'm not a fan of Google or YouTube, but it is the source right now. Um, when I come across a video, and maybe it's 1 out of 10, where there's some spectacular information, sharing that video out with the organization and sharing the why everybody should do this, whether you're using Slack or using Teams, whatever your internal communication channel is, taking that quality content and sharing it out is another best practice on implementing this. And then AI ethics, that's a really cool one, a cool topic. I just read yesterday that Samsung has banned their employees from using Chat GPT. And when I saw the headline, I was like, what on earth? Why would an organization do that? And then I heard the reason and I went, yeah, that kind of makes sense. The engineers, in order to solve bugs, were copying proprietary software code from Samsung into ChatGPT saying, fix this. Now, at a certain level, that's pretty hilarious. You got a giant technology company where their own engineers are saying, take my code and fix it, please. But obviously, the issue for Samsung is they couldn't get the assurances that they needed that OpenAI wasn't going to go, oh, look, they're giving us their software code. I wonder if we could sell this to somebody or do something nefarious with it. I wouldn't think that OpenAI would do anything like that, but they went from being a nonprofit to a commercial entity, and the dog that wags their tail is Microsoft. They're a commercial entity today, and so if you consider them a competitor in any way, shape, or form, and Samsung and a few other corporations have, they're going to ban their employees from using it. It kind of breaks my heart, but they're committed. This is from Samsung. They're committed to developing their own large learning modules and getting this stuff going. Now, chat the solution from OpenAI, they restricted how 4.0 is running right now. They used to be very open, as in their name, prior to the latest release. Now they're not open. Now it's closed AI. They ought to change their company name. Um, they're not saying, like, for example, what is the infrastructure required to run 4.0 right now? My understanding from people close that have leaked stuff out is that there's 1,200 high-end graphical processing units, also known as GPUs, or think video cards. There's 1,200 PCs that are running the current system right now for 4.0. And as you can imagine, 1,200 computers all working in unison to take my input and give me back the answers I'm seeing. Lance times millions of people. That's what's happening right now with 4.0, and they're getting ready to release the next version, full version 5. They say towards the end of this year. We'll see. We're gonna move from chat to generative AI, and then finally to general AI. So there's some really neat things that are still in the pipe, still to come down. I think that's all we got
Wow.
right now. You ready for the next one?
Sure. So, what best practices can C level executives implement to ensure the success of the AI initiatives within their organizations?
Well, it's obviously the C level needs to. This is a strategy. This this is a sea change to the way we do business. It needs to be, for each department head or business unit head, it needs to be how can or how will this affect us? It's both offensive and defensive, right? How will our competitors use this in order to, be? We were first to market within our industry, and I praise God for that. I don't know how much longer it's going to take our number two competitor, comes on board with it. But to get in quick, to make the commitment, and have a strategy that gets communicated throughout the organization is huge. It's paramount. So that would be a first step. Jim, you got thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think one of the things we talked about, and you mentioned it earlier in the call. We're building a dedicated AI team to kind of help us get there. I think that you can't do it by yourself. It's great to have the vision, but you're going to have to put a team in place, which again goes back to hiring people, which is a good thing. And I think that that team is going to help. Kind of set the strategy, if you will, or set the implementation of how it's going to be rolled out within the organization and for what purposes.
Yeah, it ties into some. It actually, as you move from strategy down to tactical, that's basically what it is. For our organization, we created minimum viable product, and that was a working model that would tie in to two sources, which was our source and to OpenAI through Microsoft, to be able to have people have conversations where we achieved a 90% success rate. And so that's what we did, both for internal audiences, our customers, and for external audiences. Now we're going to field next. So we've got two prospects to get this launched into the field. And then it's as I mentioned earlier, it's the viewing of the conversations. It's making sure unhappy stories get turned into happy stories. And our team today, we had an all company meeting this morning. We had a little innovation session at the end, and it's, how does this impact, how can this impact within a strategic products conversation? And the use cases are just crazy when you start to think about it. And in fact, we had team members throwing things out that were beyond our current defined use cases. So, having the thing that you can do, you got a database, is you have your platform learn the database. And that's how you're able to have an operator say, how many lunches did we serve today? What were sales yesterday? What was my labor versus sales percentage yesterday? That's knowing the database and replying back with the answer through the platform. So those are super cool things. Today, you get the data. You have to go click, 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 date range report, create a report, and then you see the information. Or you have a dashboard, which is referred to as business intelligence. And again, we'll get into that in the next webinar that we kick off. But defining minimum viable product is important. Our team did that. We achieved that. That's when we did the press releases and really started to take this to the next level. Today, we had team members that were dreaming forward 2, 3, 4 gates down the road that weren't even thinking of. Thinking of, we have the ability today to take a resident and have them ask, what's available for lunch tomorrow? We've got that data stream. But the question is can we help a resident by recommending food for lunch tomorrow that fits their dietary or allergy requirements? And I was like, mind blow. And so these business cases can build on each other as you look in this case, culinary, dietary, allergies, and you're able to provide better outcomes through the use of the technology. That's a huge part of this. And so this isn't one and done by any stretch of the imagination. The things that as this gets integrated into the technical stack of a company, The where this is going to go is just going to drive for years and years, and other additional tools like visual AI. So visual AI is in its infancy. The solution we use is not the one from OpenAI, which is called DALI 2. That's actually a fairly miserable solution. We're using Midjourney right now, and it's a pretty good solution for AI. In fact, it created the portrait of the person overlooking the technical environment. That portrait that's on this webinar was created by Midjourney, and so we're using it now to create scenarios, future products. And so that's another aspect of this. If you can imagine, this is my vision. A dining room manager, a restaurant manager, or a chef goes to our solution and says, I've got a lot of ground beef. I got to get rid of it. They wouldn't say that. I got a lot of ground beef. I like some recipes where I can use this ground beef. And AI would say, here's five. And the chef is looking through the list and goes, wow, number four looks awesome. I have all the ingredients. That's fantastic. Give me more information on recipe number four. And the system says, here's your nutritional information. Here's your serving size. Here's how you cook it. Here's the prep. Here's everything. It just builds the recipe card. And the next logical step is the chef goes, add it to my system. And then the system goes, how much you want to charge? And we go 11.90. The chef goes 11.95. And then the system would look at the database structure. Is there any other questions that need to be answered for this to be a live and effective item? Are there modifiers? Do you want us to create a picture? Because the visual AI can create the picture of the plate of the meatloaf based on the recipe and the cooking instructions you've got. And so the way these different technologies tie together, so for somebody able to go just snap their fingers and get a new item, meeting their nutritional goals, meeting their food cost goals, retail pricing, and have it all be in the system in just a couple of minutes. What does that take today? Hours of research to go to Google and hunt down recipes and then manually calculate or enter it in. I mean, today what takes hours will be done in a few minutes here very soon. So creativity on food creation, design, garnishing. I mean, it's mind blowing as to where all this is going.
All right. Before you give any more of our secret sauce away, any last parting thoughts before we close?
Well, because of we'd like to make an official non-recommendation for the solution Vimeo. We've had an issue since we bought that software every time. And today's issue is that it refused to link up to LinkedIn. So instead of this being a live session, this is going to be a recorded and posted session. So our apologies. We commit to you to finding a different solution that works for our next webinar, which we anticipate being Friday week, so a week and a half from now. So without Q&A, what are your key recaps? If you're not engaged, engage. That's the biggest thing that you can take out of this. The ways to engage have been shared. The reasons why you engage have been shared. And then just the reality that this affects every aspect of your enterprise from front door to back door needs to be recognized. And then the solutions that are out there, there's many. This is not a bleeding edge thing where there's only one provider and you have to suffer that provider. There are a lot of providers today and a lot more coming out very quickly. Jim, anything to add on takeaways?
No, I think you do a really good job explaining it, and I think you kind of summed it all up for me.
Awesome. As Angela would say, we're passionate about this. And so, if our organization can serve you in any way, you get our contact information on the screen. You can direct message any of us. And we're just blessed to have the opportunity to serve you today and look forward to future webinars.
Yeah. Thank you, Lance. Thank you, Jim.
Appreciate y'all.